have our World Portrait Official Reclamador with a special surprise for Chief Rhonda Laura B. And so he wouldn't tell me. I didn't want to hear it. It's a surprise. So please give a big hand to Tony and Tony.
Good evening, Ariadne, helper Miss Janet. A special welcome to Chief Rhonda Laramie and everyone who has joined World Poetry for tonight. This evening, I had planned to read a poem by someone I firmly believe has a worthy place in Canadian letters. I'm talking about the girl from Brantford, Ontario, daughter of a Mohawk chieftain and an English mother, the Indian princess who became the toast of London and pride of Canada, Emily Pauline Johnson. I changed my mind after having read something from Vancouver Sun feature, This Week in History /1915, headlined Of Bullets and Bards by Vancouver Sun writer John Mackey. And I quote from his writing. When the First World War broke out in 1914, the Canadian Army didn't have enough machine guns to outfit the troops heading overseas. So Canadians started to buy some. From one end of the empire to the other, the call has gone out for ordnance and ammunition. The Vancouver World, that's what the paper was called back then, reported on July 7, 1915. In the last 48 hours in Vancouver, private people had provided for 26 machine guns to supplement the equipment of local regiments. The 26 machine guns had been purchased for $1,000 each by organizations like the Vancouver Club and wealthy individuals like Rogers of BC Sugar. Still, the World paper noted that hundreds who are unable to give $1,000 for the purchase of a gun would be glad to give from $1 to $100 to a common fund. So it launched one in the name of poet Pauline Johnson. Johnson was one of Canada's most famous literary figures in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. The daughter of a Mohawk chief and his English wife, she was born on the Six Nations Reserve near Brantford, Ontario, and had moved to Vancouver in 1909. She died of breast cancer on March the 7th, 1913. 2 years later, her sister Evelyn wrote the World paper offering $217.17 from Johnson's estate for some civic use. The World paper decided to use the money on a machine gun, saying it would have appealed with great force, we know, to the patriotic and imperial soul of Pauline Johnson. And nothing would have pleased her more than she had done something for her country's defense, said the report in the World paper. World readers rallied to raise money. Little children walked many blocks to school for days and saved their car fare to swell the fund. Concerts were held in backyards by the little tots, and there were dozens of miniature flower marts where the pennies were gathered by the kiddies. The paper quickly raised $1,042.80, and sent a bank draft overseas to Colonel C.S. Tobin of the 29th Battalion, a Vancouver unit known as Tobin's Tigers. Tobin wrote world publisher John Nelson that he had bought a gun in New York for $1,750, the price asked for quick shipment, and would have Johnson's Mohawk name, Tekahion Waki, engraved on it. The machine gun saw action in Belgium in January 1916 and was also used at Ypres. In 1920, it came back to Vancouver, where it was put on display in the window of the World offices at 447 West Hastings. In 1924, the Vancouver Sun purchased the World, taking its subscribers and folding the paper, and the machine gun disappeared. Pauline Johnson fans have searched for it for over 9 decades. Last week, it turned up at the Beatty Street drill hole, where it has been hiding in plain sight in a regimental museum. Local historian Jolene Cummings discovered it when she arranged a tour of the drill hole. I wanted to see a plaque to my great-great-uncle George McSpadden, which is downstairs, said Cummings. I contacted retired Colonel Keith Maxwell, and he said, sure, come on down Wednesday. She said, I'm also looking for a machine gun, but he didn't respond. So I came to look at the plaque, and he said, oh, the machine gun is here too. The Beatty Street drill hole was the home of the 29th Battalion, which is probably why the machine gun wound up there. But nobody seemed to realize the significance of the machine gun because it was tucked away in a display case with the identifying Tekahion Waki inscription on the inside. A group of local Johnson enthusiasts / historians went to see the gun this week. The M1895 Colt Browning .303 caliber machine gun is in remarkable shape. To have surviving one is pretty significant, especially when it's a machine gun named after one of Canada's most famous poets, our beloved Pauline Johnson. Isn't it an amazing connection between Canadian military and literary history?
Yes.
Thank you. Here is a picture of it.
What was the name of the writer that wrote that? Oh, it's Bullets and Bars. So what's the name of the what's the gentleman's name? The columnist? The name of the author?
The writer.
The writer. Yeah.
Yeah.
The writer. Okay.
Oh,
Here you go, Tony. Here you
Oh, thank you.
go, from Sharon, and a card for you too.
Oh, thank you
Thank
very
you,
much.
Tony.